to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. I'm Vince, 28M, and I've been with Bianca, 26F, for about 3 years. 2 months ago, I proposed with what I genuinely believed was a beautiful ring. I spent $3,000 on it, which, for me, was a significant amount of money. I work at a mid-sized firm, make decent money, but I'm not rolling in cash, and I still have student loans. I've also been trying to save for a house down payment because I figured that would be more important for our future together than blowing everything on a piece of jewelry. The ring itself is really nice, a 1-carat diamond, VS2 clarity, G color, set in white gold. I did my homework, visited multiple jewelers, even brought my sister along to get a woman's opinion. Everyone agreed it was a beautiful ring and that Bianca would love it. The jeweler assured me it was a quality stone in a timeless setting. When I proposed, Bianca said yes and seemed happy. She cried. We called our families, posted on social media, the whole thing. But after about a week, I started noticing she wasn't wearing it much. When I asked, she told me she was just being careful with it at work. Fair enough, I thought. Then last weekend her mom, Nina, came to visit. Nina has always been particular about things. She makes little comments about people's cars, their houses, their clothes. I'd learned to mostly ignore it. But this time felt different. Bianca showed her mom the ring, and I swear, I saw Nina's face just fall the moment she looked at it. She tried to recover quickly, but I caught that first reaction. Then she started asking questions. So, Vince, where did you buy this ring? At a local jeweler downtown. I said, trying to keep my tone even. And how much was it, if you don't mind me asking? I hesitated. I really didn't want to share that, but Bianca was looking right at me, waiting. It was $3,000, I finally said. The silence that followed was awful. Nina just nodded stiffly. Oh, I see, she said. Then she changed the subject. Later that evening, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. Honey, you know I love you, Nina was saying, but this ring, it's just not what I pictured for my daughter. Mom, it's fine, Bianca started. No, listen, are you sure he's really committed to providing for you? This doesn't look like a man who's ready to support a family. Bianca was actually defending me at first, which I appreciated, but then Nina came in with this little dagger. Look at your cousin Hazel's ring. Now that is a ring that shows how much a man values his woman. For context, Hazel's fiancé is a surgeon, and her ring is probably worth more than my entire car. The next day, Bianca sat me down with her mom. It felt like an intervention. She was trying to sound gentle. Vince, she began, I love what you did with the ring. I really do. The proposal was beautiful, and the ring is beautiful, but maybe we could think about upgrading it. I just stared at her. Upgrading it? What does that mean? She sighed. I mean, something with a little more presence. Presence, I repeated. She nodded, glancing at Nina, who was sitting right there like some sort of judge on a panel. It's just, Bianca continued, Mom made some good points. I'll be wearing this ring every day for the rest of my life, and it should reflect our relationship, how strong it is, how meaningful. I felt my chest tighten. I thought it already did reflect our relationship. I put a lot of thought and care into choosing it, Bianca. I spent what I could responsibly afford. I know, she said, reaching for my hand. I understand. I really do. But maybe, couldn't we look at some other options? Maybe even finance something a little nicer. That's where I probably messed up, because I felt something break loose in me. I got defensive. So what, Bianca? If the ring isn't good enough for you, maybe you should just give it back, and we can reconsider the whole engagement. Her eyes went wide. Vince, I can't believe you'd say that. I'm not talking about ending things. I interrupted, frustrated. I'm not calling it off either, but I'm not going to go into debt or drain my savings just to buy a bigger diamond. The ring I bought is beautiful and more than adequate. Nina jumped in then, voice sharp. Vince, you're being stubborn and selfish. A man who really loves a woman wants to give her the best he can. I shot her a look. I did give her the best I could. The best I could afford while still being financially responsible. That's when Nina delivered the real gut punch. Maybe you two aren't ready for marriage if you can't even handle this conversation maturely. Like I was the one being immature. Like I was some child for refusing to blow $10,000 on a ring. Now Bianca isn't really talking to me. Nina definitely isn't talking to me, and I'm standing my ground on not returning the ring. I think it's a beautiful ring. I still do. And honestly, I think they're being materialistic and shallow. But Bianca says I'm being inflexible and not considering her feelings. When she says that, what I actually hear is, should I just suck it up and get a more expensive ring to keep the peace? For some context, since a lot of people have asked, no, Bianca and I never specifically discussed a budget beforehand. But she knows my salary, she knows about my student loans, she knows I'm saving for a house. She's never come across as materialistic before this. We split most things pretty evenly. She's never expected me to buy her expensive stuff. That's why this entire thing has completely thrown me off. And for those wondering about the ring, yes, it's a real diamond, certified from a reputable jeweler. It's not massive, but it's definitely not tiny. I've shown pictures to my friends, my coworkers, even my sister. Everyone has told me it's a lovely ring. Then yesterday, Nina called me. She spent about 20 minutes telling me why I was wrong about absolutely everything. Vince, she started in that tone she uses when she thinks she's being reasonable. The issue here isn't really about money. It's about what the ring represents. An engagement ring is a symbol of how much a man values his future wife. By choosing a modest ring, you're basically telling the world you don't value Bianca very much. I felt my jaw clench. I tried to stay calm. Nina, that's not true. I do value Bianca. That's why I spent what I could responsibly afford. I put a lot of care into choosing something beautiful. She cut me off. Real men sacrifice for the women they love, Vince. If you really loved Bianca, you would find a way to get her a proper ring. My patience was wearing thin. What do you mean, find a way? I asked. Well, she continued smoothly. You could take out a loan, or maybe ask your parents for help, or even pick up a side job. There are options. I shook my head. I'm not going into debt over a piece of jewelry, Nina. I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense. She made this disgusted little sigh. That is exactly the problem. You're prioritizing money over Bianca's happiness. Then she really went for it. Do you know Bianca's been crying herself to sleep because she's embarrassed to show that ring to her friends? She's been making excuses not to see her friend group because she doesn't want them to notice it. Her self-esteem is in the gutter over this, and you're being cruel and selfish by refusing to fix it. Hearing that felt like a knife in my ribs. If that was really true, if Bianca was crying herself to sleep, then of course I didn't want her to feel that way. But before I could even figure out what to say, Nina twisted the knife. She said, maybe Bianca settled for you, Vince. Maybe she deserves someone who would move heaven and earth to make her happy. I told Nina, flat out, that she was out of line, that this was between Bianca and me. Nina, with respect, this is something for Bianca and me to work out. I don't think it's appropriate for you to be involved like this, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She didn't miss a beat. As Bianca's mother, I have every right to advocate for her happiness, she snapped. And if you can't step up and be the man she needs, maybe you should think about whether you're really ready for marriage. After I hung up, I was honestly shaken. I couldn't get what she said out of my head, so I called Bianca. Bianca, I just talked to your mom. I began, trying not to sound accusatory. Is it true what she said? That you're embarrassed about the ring? There was a pause on the other end. Then she sighed. Vince, yeah, a little. My heart sank. Why didn't you talk to me about this directly? I asked. Why have your mom call me instead? I tried, she said quietly. But you got so defensive. I didn't want to hurt your feelings even more. I do love you, Vince, and I don't want to seem ungrateful, but I just wish we could find a compromise. A compromise? I echoed. Like what? Maybe, she said carefully, we could trade in the current ring toward a down payment on something larger, and then finance the rest. She sent me a few links while we were talking. All the rings were between $8,000 and $12,000. I felt sick. Bianca, I'm not comfortable financing a luxury purchase like that, I told her. We're supposed to be saving for a wedding and a house. She hesitated, then said, those things can wait, Vince. But an engagement ring is something I'll have forever. And now, we're at a stalemate. She's not wearing the ring at all anymore, which honestly makes me feel like absolute crap. I keep going back and forth in my head. Part of me wonders if this is just the beginning. If she's not happy with a $3,000 ring, what happens down the road, when we're married and she wants other expensive things? But then there's another part of me, the part that loves her, that thinks maybe I am being inflexible, and that I should just make her happy. I'm honestly lost here. This whole thing has put a huge strain on our relationship, and I don't know how to fix it without either going against my financial principles or making Bianca unhappy. This situation just keeps getting weirder, and I honestly need to vent somewhere. Bianca and I had what I thought was a genuinely productive conversation. We agreed to table the ring discussion for a week and just try to get back to normal. She even promised she would start wearing the ring again, and that we'd figure out a solution that worked for both of us. Except, yesterday, I found out she's been creative with that promise. My buddy Adam works in the same office building as Bianca, different company, but they sometimes run into each other in the lobby or at the coffee shop downstairs. He texted me out of nowhere with this weird question. Hey, did Bianca get a new engagement ring? The one she's wearing looks different from the photos. I was confused. So I texted back, what do you mean? He replied, it just looked bigger, sparklier, nicer, I guess. When Bianca got home that night, I waited until after dinner to bring it up. So, I started carefully, how was your day? She was scrolling on her phone, barely looking up. It was fine, she said. Adam saw you at the coffee shop, I added. Her head snapped up, just a flicker of surprise, then she looked away. Oh, cool, she said quickly. Yeah. I continued. He asked if you got a different engagement ring. She froze for half a second, then forced a smile. Of course not. I'm wearing your ring. I stared at her. Can I see it? There was this weird pause. Then she got up, went to her purse, and pulled out the ring. Out of her purse, not off her finger. That just hit me. Bianca, I said, why was the ring in your purse? She sighed, like I was the one being unreasonable. Okay, look, I've been wearing Maya's ring during the day, she admitted. I just stared at her. You've been what? Maya let me borrow her old engagement ring, she explained, like it was the most normal thing in the world. She upgraded hers a while back, so she still has the old one. I could feel my chest tighten. So you're wearing her ring to work? And then putting mine back on when you get home? She nodded. Yeah, I feel better with it on. Bianca, why? I asked. Why would you do that? She threw up her hands, frustrated. I'm tired of feeling embarrassed at work, okay? Every time someone asks about my ring or wants to see it, I feel like I have to explain. I feel ashamed. Maya's ring makes me feel confident. I felt something break inside me. Do you know how much that hurts? It feels like you're lying to me and to everyone else. I'm not lying, she insisted, voice rising. I'm just managing the situation until we figure out a permanent solution. Managing, I repeated. What do you tell people when they ask about the ring you're wearing? She crossed her arms. I don't tell them anything. If they assume it's mine, I don't correct them. That's basically lying, Bianca, I said, trying to stay calm even though my heart was pounding. She glared at me, frustrated. You're making this about you, Vince, when it should be about finding a solution that makes both of us happy. Then she said something that really bothered me. It's not like I'm hurting anyone, she told me, sounding almost exasperated. Maya's ring just looks more like what people expect an engagement ring to look like. That stung. I tried to keep my voice calm. What does that mean, Bianca? She hesitated, then sighed. A bigger ring looks more serious, okay? People take the relationship more seriously when they see it. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. So what? With my ring, people don't take us seriously. She winced. Sometimes people make comments, Vince. Like, how sweet it is that we're taking things slow, or that maybe we're just testing things out before making a real commitment. That hurt. It made me realize she wasn't just embarrassed by the ring. She was embarrassed by what she thought it said about our relationship. About me as a provider. We ended up having a huge fight that night. Bianca, I told her, trying to stay steady, if you can't be proud to wear the ring I gave you, then maybe we have bigger problems than the size of the diamond. She rolled her eyes. Vince, don't be dramatic. This is about social expectations and wanting to feel confident. Confident? I snapped. How confident can you be if you're basically lying to people every day about what I gave you? She shook her head, frustrated. You're twisting this into something it isn't. I love you. I want to marry you. But I just want to feel good about my ring, okay? The conversation ended with neither of us satisfied. She's still not wearing my ring. It's sitting there in her jewelry box on her dresser, and I see it every morning when I get dressed, a reminder of how completely messed up this has gotten. It makes me feel like absolute shit. I keep wondering, is she ashamed of me? Of us? She insists she isn't, but if she really was proud of our relationship, wouldn't she want to show the ring off, no matter what? The whole thing is making me question whether we're even compatible long-term. Is this really just about the ring, or is it about something deeper, about how she sees me, how she sees our future? And then, as if things weren't bad enough. Yesterday, Adam, my buddy who works in the same building, asked me to grab a beer after work. He said there was something I needed to know. Apparently, Bianca has been talking to people at her office about our situation. But the version she's telling? It's nothing like what's actually happening. According to Adam, who heard this from one of his friends who works with Bianca, the story going around is that I'm financially controlling, that I've been hiding money from her. She's apparently told people that she found out I have more money saved than I told her, and that I'm refusing to spend it on her ring because I don't want her to have nice things. Adam said his friend was actually worried that Bianca might be in some kind of abusive situation and even asked if she should recommend resources for women in controlling relationships. I was honestly shocked. I asked Adam, wait, exactly what did your friend hear? He sighed. Bianca told people you have a secret savings account that you refuse to touch, and that when she asked about a nicer ring, you got angry and threatening and told her she should be grateful for what she gets. My jaw dropped. That's not true. I told him immediately. Yeah, I have savings, but it's not a secret. It's for a house down payment, something Bianca knows about. We've talked about it multiple times, and I never threatened her, never told her to be grateful for what she gets. All I said was that I wasn't comfortable going into debt for jewelry. I think that's perfectly reasonable. But apparently, the story has grown legs. Adam went on. Bianca also told people you control all the finances in the relationship, that she's not allowed to buy things without your permission. I actually had to sit down. That was so far from reality, it felt like I'd been punched. We split most expenses. Bianca has her own credit cards, her own bank accounts. I don't even have access to them. I was upset, but I tried to stay calm. I told Adam, look, thank your friend for being concerned, but let her know the situation isn't what Bianca described. When Bianca got home later that night, I decided to confront her. I tried to keep my tone calm, non-accusatory. Hey, Bianca. I started, can I ask you something? She was taking off her shoes and barely looked at me. Sure. Have you been talking to people at work about our situation with the ring? Immediately, she got defensive. Sometimes I need to vent, Vince. I'm stressed, okay? I nodded. I get that. But Adam heard from someone that the story going around isn't really accurate. Her eyes narrowed. What do you mean? I took a breath. That I have a secret savings account I won't touch. That I threatened you. That I'm financially controlling. Her face went bright red. I never meant for it to sound like that. She stammered, and then started crying. I was just frustrated, okay? Maybe I exaggerated some things. I tried to stay steady. Bianca, what do you mean, exaggerated? She wiped her eyes. When people kept asking why you wouldn't buy me a bigger ring, I felt like I had to explain it somehow. I told them you had money saved but wouldn't spend it, and that you got upset when I brought up upgrading. That's all. I shook my head. But that still doesn't explain why people think I'm controlling or that I threatened you. She looked away. I don't know. Maybe those details just got twisted after people retold it. I never actually said you threatened me. Before I could ask anything else, her phone started ringing. She looked at the screen and stepped into the hallway to take the call, but I could hear parts of the conversation. The coworker was asking if Bianca was safe and if she needed help. I could hear her through the doorway. Bianca kept reassuring her, no, everything is fine. People just misunderstood the situation. After she hung up, I couldn't hold back anymore. Bianca, this has gone way too far, I told her. Your coworkers thinking I'm financially abusive? That could seriously damage my reputation, not to mention it's completely unfair to me. She looked ashamed for about 2 seconds. I'm sorry, she said quietly. I'll clarify things with them, okay? But then she added something that really bothered me. But, Vince, you have to understand from the outside. It does look weird that you won't spend more on my ring when you have the money. I felt my head spin. I don't have the money, Bianca. I have savings for a specific purpose, for a house down payment. Spending that on jewelry would be financially irresponsible. She nodded, but in that resigned way that told me she still didn't get it. I understand that, she admitted, but other people don't know our full situation. So they make assumptions. I rubbed my face in frustration. Then why not explain the actual situation honestly? If people knew the truth, they wouldn't jump to those conclusions. She folded her arms, clearly frustrated. I don't want to get into all the details of our finances with my coworkers, Vince. That's private. The whole conversation left me feeling sick. It seemed like Bianca was more worried about what other people thought than about how her words were affecting me. The fact that she let people believe I was controlling, even potentially abusive, just so she didn't have to admit she wanted a more expensive ring. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Honestly, it made me wonder if I even knew the person I'd asked to marry me. The Bianca I fell in love with wouldn't have thrown me under the bus like this. But here we were. I didn't know if this was even salvageable anymore. The ring issue was one thing, but having people think I was abusive? That crossed a line I never imagined she'd cross. Well, it's over. I really thought we might be able to work through it, somehow. But what happened over the weekend made it clear that wasn't going to happen. After that last blow-up about Bianca telling people I was financially abusive, things were tense. She did talk to her coworkers. She told me she'd cleared up the misunderstanding, but I could tell she was resentful about having to do it. She kept making these little comments under her breath, like, I'm glad you made me look like a liar when I was just trying to cope with a difficult situation. Friday night, her mom Nina came to town again. I should have seen the warning signs, honestly, but I kept telling myself maybe we could finally all sit down and resolve this like adults. Instead, it turned into a straight-up intervention. Nina, Bianca, and apparently Bianca's sister Grace, who had driven up from Portland, had clearly planned the whole thing. They sat me down in the living room, and the moment I saw their faces, I knew I was screwed. Nina started it off, hands folded primly in her lap. Vince, we're all very concerned about your pattern of behavior, she began, in this patronizing tone that made me want to scream. We think you need to understand how your choices are affecting Bianca. I just stared at her. My pattern of behavior? I asked. She nodded, dead serious. Yes, I've been doing some research about engagement rings, and the tradition is very clear. A man is expected to spend 2 to 3 months of his salary on the ring. By my calculations, Vince, that would be at least $8,000, Closer to 12,000 if you really want to do it right. I took a breath, trying not to explode. Nina, I said as calmly as I could, that 2-month salary rule was literally a marketing campaign invented by De Beers. It's not a real tradition. Nina waved a dismissive hand. It doesn't matter who invented it. It's what people expect now. By spending so much less, you're publicly announcing that Bianca isn't worth a proper investment. I clenched my jaw. Before I could even respond, Grace jumped in. Vince, I'm honestly worried about Bianca's future with someone who's already showing controlling tendencies around money, she said, leaning forward. In a healthy relationship, partners prioritize each other's happiness over arbitrary financial rules. I opened my mouth to defend myself. I'm not controlling. I'm responsible. But every time I tried to get a word in, one of them cut me off with another lecture about how I was being unreasonable, how I wasn't showing up, how I was humiliating Bianca. Finally, Nina sighed dramatically. Bianca has been incredibly patient with you, Vince, she said. But your refusal to compromise is forcing her to question this relationship. Then Bianca spoke. I turned to her, hoping she might stick up for me just a little, but she looked determined. I've been thinking about this a lot, she said softly, and I realized this isn't really about the ring anymore. It's about whether you're willing to show up for me when it matters. My stomach dropped. She took out her phone, scrolled for a second, then turned the screen toward me. I found a ring I love, she said. It's a 2-carat oval diamond with a halo setting. $15,000. I talked to the jeweler about payment plans, and we could finance it over 2 years with manageable monthly payments. Then she gave me an ultimatum. She looked me right in the eye and said, Vince, if you're not willing to get the ring I want, then I don't think we should get married. My heart sank. She kept going, her voice steady, like she'd rehearsed it. A man who really wants to marry me would find a way to make it happen. Your refusal shows you're not truly committed to our future together. Nina, of course, nodded along, practically beaming. This is Bianca finally standing up for herself, she said. I'm so proud of you for not settling for less than you deserve, honey. I just sat there, stunned, feeling like someone had knocked the wind out of me. Finally, I managed to ask, Bianca, are you serious? You're really willing to end our 3-year relationship and cancel our wedding over a ring? She didn't even hesitate. It's not about the ring, she insisted. It's about what it represents. If you can't understand why this matters to me, then maybe we aren't as compatible as I thought. It was like a switch flipped inside me right then. I realized there was no compromise here. Bianca and her family had already decided what the correct answer was. Anything short of me going tens of thousands of dollars into debt would never be good enough. I was being asked to prove my love by emptying my savings and going into debt for a piece of jewelry. If I refused, then I was selfish and controlling. I stood up. My legs felt weirdly shaky, but I went straight to the bedroom, to Bianca's dresser. I picked up the ring box, my ring, the one I'd chosen with so much care. Then I walked back into the living room. I looked Bianca straight in the eye. If a $15,000 ring is more important to you than our relationship, I told her, then you're right. We're not compatible. Her mouth fell open, but I kept going. I'm not going to be manipulated into debt to prove my love. I'm not going to stay in a relationship where my financial boundaries aren't respected. Bianca's eyes immediately filled with tears. Vince, are you really ending things over this? I shook my head. No, I said as calmly as I could. You are ending things over this. I'm just accepting your decision. Nina lost it, practically screaming. You're selfish. You're throwing away the best thing that ever happened to you. Grace jumped in too. This just proves what we were saying about your character, Vince. But Bianca just sat there, crying, not saying anything. I turned around, went to the bedroom, and started packing a bag. I didn't even feel angry at that point, just numb. That night, I went to crash at my buddy Miles's place. All weekend, Bianca texted me, paragraph after paragraph, telling me she didn't mean for things to go that far, asking if we could please talk. Yesterday, I went back to get more of my stuff while she was at work. I left the apartment key on the counter before I walked out, then shot Bianca a quick text. Hey, I left my key on the counter. I'll be by for the rest of my things later this week. Not even 2 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. Her family, her friends, even some numbers I didn't recognize. Most of the messages were angry, calling me an a-hole, saying I gave up too easily, accusing me of being heartless. A couple people said they understood my position but still thought I should have tried harder to compromise. But the more I thought about it, the more I felt sure I'd made the right call. Because this was never really about the ring. It was about values, fundamental values. Bianca and her family believe expensive gestures are the measure of love and commitment. To them, if you love someone, you prove it with a diamond as big as a golf ball. To me, love means protecting our shared future, making thoughtful choices, staying out of pointless debt. If Bianca had come to me in a calm, honest way and said, I know this might sound a bit shallow, but having a bigger ring would make me happy, and here's a realistic plan so it won't wreck our other goals, I would have listened. That's a conversation I would have been willing to have. Instead, I got ultimatums, emotional blackmail, accusations that I was selfish, controlling, not a real man. And then the final blow, watching her let people think I was abusive. That's what killed it for me. I'm sad it ended like this. 3 years gone, just like that. But honestly, better to find out now than after we were married, with joint finances and even more at stake. The ring is back in my possession, sitting in the little box on Miles's coffee table while I figure out what to do next. I'm probably going to return it and put the money back into my house fund, the house I'll hopefully share one day with someone who values the thought behind a gift more than the price tag. Reading the comments on my posts has helped me stay sane through this mess. Just knowing there were people who didn't think I was crazy made a huge difference. And about people asking if I think Bianca was influenced by her mom, honestly, maybe Nina pushed her in that direction. But Bianca is 26 years old. She made her own choices. She chose to lie to her coworkers about me. She chose to wear someone else's ring. She chose to give me an ultimatum. I can't pin all of that on her mother, no matter how much pressure Nina might have applied. At the end of the day, Bianca is an adult. She made her own calls. Edit 2. I keep seeing comments saying I'm being too harsh, and that lots of women care about their engagement rings. And look, I get that. I really do. I'm not saying women shouldn't care about their rings. If it's a symbol you wear every day, of course you want to love how it looks. But there's a huge difference between caring about your ring and being willing to end an entire relationship over it. If the ring was truly just about her happiness, how she felt wearing it, not about status or other people's opinions, we could have found a compromise that worked for both of us. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.